These arrests on DaBaby have been kept silent from social media for many different reasons. Now, these arrests can sentence DaBaby to near life in prison if convicted. Life in prison will not be easy for DaBaby either. We need to talk about this, so let's get straight into it. DaBaby's music career is on thin ice. The rapper has had a real issue with holding illegal firearms, and he's even been arrested for it now several times. DaBaby was arrested for holding another illegal firearm very recently, but first, you should know about his most serious court case first. As on November 5th in 2018, at around 6:30 in a Huntersville Walmart, rapper DaBaby was with his baby mama and children, ages 1 and 5 at the time. When arriving inside of the Walmart, allegedly a man that was under the influence walked inside holding a firearm. The man ended up walking inside of the shopping center and started flashing the firearm in the air while screaming and scaring all of the customers that were inside. Now, when this was all going down, DaBaby instructed his baby mama and children to go in the far corner of the Walmart. That's when DaBaby also creeps up on the man that's sitting in the middle of the Walmart, and he ends up dealing with the situation with his illegal firearm. So DaBaby ended up speaking about this situation later on his personal Instagram account. His lawyers were allegedly telling him to not talk about it online, but DaBaby stated that he doesn't care. DaBaby shared on Instagram by saying, and I quote, "I'm not gonna let anyone get the chance of getting near my family, so I had to do what I had to do." Now, at this current time, DaBaby did not have a firearm license. This does mean that he was holding an illegal firearm, and this was also his third arrest holding an illegal firearm. Now, in the court case, DaBaby, he was thanked by many in the courtroom for being a hero in this situation. But just because he's a hero does not mean that he's off the hook for holding an illegal firearm. DaBaby was then sentenced to 1 year probation. He was told to never hold a firearm illegally again. But this all changed with his most recent arrest when he was at a Montclair store. Now, in DaBaby's most recent case that is almost ready to now go to trial, it starts on January 7th. Rapper DaBaby and his entourage were out shopping at a Montclair store. When at the cash register and getting ready to pay for the goods, DaBaby went to go grab for his wallet out of his pocket. Now, in the process, this ended up lifting up his t-shirt a little bit, and it revealed a firearm that was tucked inside of his waistband. The person working the cash register at the Montclair store noticed the firearm and took action by calling law enforcement while DaBaby was exiting the store. The worker called law enforcement claiming that a man at the store was holding a firearm on him, and he's now exiting the store, going to his vehicle in the parking garage. Law enforcement then quickly rushed over to the shopping center and surrounded DaBaby's vehicle right in the middle of the street. Law enforcement brought out everything. They brought out a K9 unit, they brought out extra men. They were ready for this. They ended up doing a heavy search throughout DaBaby's vehicle. Law enforcement then spotted a firearm tucked into the side door pocket of his car. This is the same side that DaBaby was sitting in. Once the firearm was found, DaBaby was then arrested on site in the middle of the street, as him holding an illegal firearm has been an ongoing issue with him for many years. Now, for this, DaBaby has a high chance of being sentenced to prison for allegedly 2 to 4 years. And also, as we have seen many times with rappers now going to prison, they tend to have many issues while on the inside. They will be living with inmates that have nothing to lose, facing life sentences in prison. Those types of inmates, they have a track record of going after rappers and wealthy people while inside prison. They have literally nothing to lose, so they go after them for commissary goods, money on their books, or even just extra clothing so they can sit comfier in their cell. Obviously, DaBaby and his lawyers are trying to prevent this from happening, but when you take a look at the criminal history behind DaBaby, it might be now time where the judge sentenced DaBaby for a few years in prison to finally teach him a lesson. At DaBaby's latest court hearing, the judge spoke to him about his issues with holding firearms. When looking through the criminal history of DaBaby, this would actually detail DaBaby's first arrest on June 15th in 2013. The Charlotte Police Department allegedly caught DaBaby with possession and also carrying a concealed firearm. Now luckily those were both misdemeanors in North Carolina, but this was only the start of DaBaby's firearm issues. DaBaby likes to live the type of style where he would rather be caught with it than without it, and due to him being arrested for holding an illegal firearm so many times, he's not allowed to get a carrying license. But this leads us into DaBaby's second arrest. This happened on December 16th, in 2013. Now details are scarce on this arrest, but online records show that DaBaby was charged with misdemeanor of possession. DaBaby's third arrest was made once again by the police department, but these charges were a little bit more serious compared to his others. DaBaby's charge for this arrest was a felony for possession and carrying a concealed firearm. DaBaby was taken to jail and later released on $5,000 bond. Now I couldn't find the outcome of this arrest, but sources do say that DaBaby ends up paying his bond, goes to court, and things just smoothed over. But we gotta hope that these charges were at least reduced down to a misdemeanor. But on to DaBaby's fourth arrest. This is where he is caught with another firearm and it gets a little bit more serious. DaBaby was arrested again in North Carolina. Sources claim that DaBaby was there to perform at his Baby Talk 5 tour. Upon arrival, the police department allegedly caught DaBaby with a firearm that was not registered in his name. The police then proceeded to book DaBaby on one charge of possession of a stolen firearm, as nobody in DaBaby's crew or even himself wanted to admit where the firearm was from. Allegedly, the firearm was registered to an individual who lived in the US, and with nobody speaking on how they got it, law enforcement just assumed it was stolen. But DaBaby has been arrested so many times now for firearms, with judges telling him to never be caught with it again, to him always carrying one with him. It's gonna cause a serious issue for him in his court case. He could be put in the same situation as NBA YoungBoy, where the judge says you're just too reckless and dangerous as a human being to be released out into the streets. But we're gonna have to just wait and see how it all plays out. I really do not hope DaBaby gets sentenced to any time in prison, but with his trial now coming up, we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. If you are a fan of DaBaby, leave a like on the video and don't forget to subscribe. It's been District Trending and I'm out. Peace.